I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain.
What are we talking about this time, Wade?
We're talking about Blade Runner 1 and 2.
For people who don't know, there is a second one.
Yeah, for all those people who didn't fucking see the second one.
So
For all the people who haven't even
money.
heard of the first one, there's a movie called Blade Runner starring Harrison Ford.
It's pretty good.
It's
Out of 10.
Pretty good.
Pretty good out of 10.
Pretty good out of 10. You stole my shit. How dare you? So how do you feel? You watched both of these rather recently.
I mean,
You watched the first one like a few months ago. But
I watched the first one like a year ago.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was that a year ago?
It's like when we first started this
Oh,
podcast.
shit.
And our podcast has been going for a year.
Oh my God. How do you feel about Blade Runner?
It's an awesome cyberpunk sci-fi. That's like, in general terms, that's how I feel about it. But going a little more in depth into it, I love how just you never know if any of these characters are kind of replicants. More so in the second one, but in this one, your main question is Deckard anything other than just a human, which I like.
I mean, it's at the end. That's the question, because it's never really brought up throughout the rest of the fucking movie because it was an afterthought.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
But which cut are we talking about?
I've only seen the final cut.
I've seen, I think it was the final cut. No,
I haven't seen any of the other
I think it was
cuts.
No, I've seen the director's.
You saw the director's cut?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the final cut and the director's cut are kind of the same.
Yeah, there's like maybe one or two things different. I don't know what the original cut looks like.
The original cut is the one with the voiceover.
Yeah.
The awful Harrison Ford voiceover.
And it's a different ending, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a happy ending.
My favorite character though is fucking Patty. Both these movies.
He's the only reason I think anything about this movie stands up, other than the effects. But like character-wise, he should have been the main character. He's so fucking good.
The last 20 minutes is amazing.
Rutger Hauer is fucking phenomenal, and that the speech apparently that he had at the end was apparently all improv, which just makes fucking Rutger Hauer even more of a badass.
It's an amazing speech.
It's so good. All these memories will be lost like tears in rain, and then he just fucking dies. I'm like, it's so fucking cool, man.
I love he just shoves his face into the wall.
That whole scene, if we want to talk about Blade Runner as like a movie, Blade Runner is visually like a fucking masterpiece. And I know on the final cut they did go back and do some like CG like touch-ups and stuff. I'm fine with that because it didn't affect the rest of the movie, sort of. But like they just kind of like made everything look a little nicer. It looks visually incredible. It's like one of the best looking movies I've ever fucking seen. The music in it is great. I love the way the city looks. I think it's kind of like this weird cyberpunky type world, and I kind of invented that. And it's also kind of like a film noir in a way, where it's like a detective thing.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at Blade Runner as a movie, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Why do you say that?
Because most of the movie, you don't really know like what Deckard is trying to do or what his character is.
He's trying to take out the replicants.
He's trying to take out the replicants, but then, like, who is he as a person? Because he kind of seems like he doesn't give a shit, but he's also kind of a drunk, and he tries to like rape Rachel towards the end. Like, is he like a bad guy? Is he like who is this guy? Why did they get him of all people to go after? He seems kind of incompetent. Because all of these
he nearly dies a couple times.
All of these replicants are stronger than him, and they like that one replicant like literally picks him up and starts beating the shit out of him, and he would have killed him if Rachel hadn't have fucking shot him to the head.
Right.
So like he seems like the worst person to go after these fucking replicants.
Maybe they wanted him to die.
Maybe, and there is that theory that people are like, oh, it was all part of the plan for whatever.
It's not till the second one.
None of that shit
that's brought up
is relevant because they're all theories, and even if they are true, Ridley Scott's a madman. And then the third act is completely like different. It's a completely different movie with Roy Batty and Deckard like Roy Batty just strips down, and he's like in his underwear for some reason. He's in these like weird tighty whities, and he's just running around being like, "Oh, come get me, boo boo boo!" And he's slamming his face to the walls, and he's like, "Hey, come get me, boo boo boo!" Then he breaks Harrison Ford's fingers. It's such an odd movie. It's so weird.
It is a little weird, but I like it.
I like it too.
It's
so fucking weird. I remember watching it for the first time because I hadn't seen it until I bought that because I was gonna go see Blade Runner 2049 and I didn't because I fucked up. And I was like, this is a strange movie, but there's something about it where I'm just like, this is great.
I love the whole world though. That's like the biggest selling point for me is that the world is fantastic. Because for one, there's no like other living beings on this world besides humans. Like, because they say through the whole thing.
Well, yeah, everything's like off world.
Yeah, they say like, oh, like that snake is not real, and like whatever, like that owl or whatever, it's not real. Which I'm like, that's like,
it's really neat.
That's how the future's probably gonna be. But then I think a lot of these characters though are kind of nuts in their own special way.
Kind of nuts.
Deckard is kind of insane.
Deckard's insane because he's just like a drunk all the time,
right?
And he's got that weird like Harrison Ford where like you can't tell if it's Harrison Ford just being a bad actor or if that's like the character because he's very just like, oh, I'm Deckard. Ugh. And I'm like, are you like, is this like the character or are you just not give a fuck, Harrison Ford? What the fuck is
probably
going
a
on?
little both.
It might be a little bit both.
But and then I don't remember his name, but the guy who runs the company or whatever, he's kind of crazy.
Fucking Tyrell.
Yeah, Tyrell. He's kind of crazy.
Which that guy was in The Shining.
He was.
He was Lloyd.
He was, and he's kind of insane in this too, just a little bit. But
he's probably the most sane.
Out of everybody, he's the most sane.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like he's a little off his rocker.
A little bit. I mean, he made fake people.
Yeah, and then
he gets his fucking eyes gouged out, which is really cool. Which I don't think that was in the original.
It's a gruesome
cut.
scene.
I think they added it later. But yeah, it's really gruesome.
And then the toy guy, he's just nuts because he's got a little toy man.
He's not nuts.
He's got little toy guys
running
around.
He's got a deformity. He's just trying to make friends. Nobody wants to be friends with him because he's a 20-year-old who looks like a fucking 85-year-old.
True.
He just wants friends.
And the baddie's crazy.
And
his girlfriend crazy.
Yeah.
Rachel's sane.
Rachel's, I mean, I guess she's very just like one note. The whole fucking movie.
I do like how they, because when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be a movie about him taking out robots. But I never thought that like,
are they robots?
I don't know what they are. I just said robots because
I had this argument with somebody else. They never say they're robots.
No.
I always just assumed that they were humans. They were just created like artificially instead of naturally.
They're somehow enhanced though, because they're stronger than normal.
They are, but I never got the idea that they're robots.
I don't know. Maybe they're not.
Maybe they're just like test tubes.
I don't know. Replicant just sounds like a robot type thing.
It does. What's the answer, Ridley Scott? You have all these other fucking answers for everything.
Should have got him on the podcast. He would have.
Damn it.
He would have
ranted for like an hour. This would have been the whole video.
Nah, he wouldn't have answered anything. He'd be like, I don't want to fucking talk about Blade Runner. That's what he'd say.
No, he would have ranted about Deckard being replicant.
Oh,
and that'd be it for like an hour. He's a fucking replicant. I don't care what Harrison Ford has to say. Fuck you, Harrison.
I think there's a weird like I forget. I did like a whole paper on this because I did this in my film class. The eyeball thing at the beginning. There's like a weird like parallel or something.
That comes back in the sequel too. The eyeball has to do with when they do the test.
Yeah.
They use the eyeball.
It's like a weird humanity symbol thing or something.
Yeah, it's just like a symbol of, hey, this is we humans.
Yeah. But I think that test is weird also. Like, how does that, like, I know what it's supposed to do.
I think it's kind of like a lie detector test where it like gauges your emotions depending on
like when the guy was like, there's a turtle on his back.
He's like, what turtle? What the fuck you asking me, bro? Why? And he was just like flipping the fuck out, and then he just shoots that guy like fucking Han Solo. It was so cool. That's such a great way to open a movie. It's so good.
But then Rachel having memories somehow takes that away. That's what I don't get though. Like that emotional factor is harder to find when he does the test on her though, because she has memories for some reason.
Because they implanted those memories.
Yeah, but how does that?
I guess
how does that affect the emotional?
Because it makes the replicant think that they're not a replicant.
Maybe.
Because like Roy Batty was aware he was a replicant. Because that was his whole thing. Was that I'm not.
I don't want to die.
You built a 4-year thing. My time's almost up. I don't want to fucking die.
Right.
I think in the whole movie, Rachel's like, I'm not a replicant. I'm this person. So I think it's just like a mindset type thing.
Which is never explicitly said that she like maybe she isn't a replicant. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I know Tyrell says that she is.
She was.
Maybe he's lying.
She was, because in the next movie we see she's dead.
But she could have just died.
But Harrison Ford would have been like, oh, she lived to the ripe old age of 85, and then she died. Like, no, she died, like, probably immediately after Blade Runner.
She could have lived longer somehow. I don't know.
I think she was...
Spoiler, she lived long enough to have a kid, so...
9 months. It's not that long.
There's not, like, too much to say about Blade Runner, other than that, like you said, it's just kind of like a crazy-ass movie.
It is. And it's visually, it's one of the best-looking movies I think ever made.
Oh.
It's stunning.
For sure, especially for... When did it come out? 91 or 92 or something?
It did not come out in the 90s.
It
It came out in the 80s.
Pretty sure it came out in like 91.
It did not. And you put the actual date
82.
82.
But yeah, there's also like 5 cuts to this fucking movie, which is insane.
That's not gonna stay.
Bad at just putting it up there, Wade.
You fucking get it up there. Okay. Fuck me then. There's a lot.
Which I haven't seen any of them.
I've only seen the final cut. That's the only one I've seen.
Why are there so many fucking cuts to this movie?
Because there was the theatrical cut that Ridley Scott apparently like didn't want to do, and then when they gave him like the money to go back and recut it, he did the director's cut, and then there's like the European cut, which they just like trimmed off a little bit of it for like European running times or whatever. Then there was like the TV edit, which they always have for like every movie, and then the final cut came out later where he's just like, I just want to kind of take bits from all of them and just make like one definitive like cut.
So which is his cut though? The director's cut
the
or
final
the final cut?
Because he cut that together too.
Then what's the director's cut?
The director's cut was his cut before the final cut, and then once because the director's cut came out after the theatrical, and then they put out like 2 more cuts, and he's like, I want to put all this other like some of these other scenes in this shit, tighten, clean some of this stuff up, and like do whatever. And I think the unicorn scene was that in the director's cut?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was added in pretty fucking early.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. How do you feel about
At
the
first,
inclusion of that?
I was kind of like, what the fuck is happening?
It does kind of come out of nowhere. It's very odd.
I really didn't understand what it meant. But then talking to you about it, it kind of was like this weird, like, almost memory glitching, if maybe, type thing. Kind of like hints towards maybe he's a replicant.
Well, I think it's something that if he is a replicant, I think it's something that, which he has to be. It's very much implied that he is towards the end. I think it's meant to be that, like, we implanted you with this, like, memory or this dream or whatever, and then Gaff is somehow aware of that, and he lets him know towards the end.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it's meant to imply. Because what the fuck else would it imply? Harrison Ford gets drunk and likes to think about
It's
unicorns?
just a weird coincidence.
It's very strange.
It's a coincidence. That's all it is.
I guess. If he's not a replicant, then yeah, that would be a massive fucking coincidence.
I'm a
Unless
little-
he just got drunk and then just blabbed about this fucking dream.
I was a little disappointed that Gaff wasn't really in the movie that much, honestly.
They set him up sort of like he would be the antagonist.
Yeah.
And then he just disappears and then comes back at the end. And it's very weird.
Yeah.
But
so
he's kind of a neat character.
I either thought he was going to become an antagonist or he was going to be like his like sidekick dude.
Yeah.
But neither one happened. They just kind of forgot
it is
about
kind
him.
of weird, yeah.
Which I don't know if they like.
Maybe originally he was supposed to be, and then they like rewrote some shit or whatever.
I don't know. But I do agree with you though that Harrison Ford's performance is like a little lacking.
It's very weird because it's around that era where Harrison Ford like stopped caring. But
he's like I did Star Wars.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like kind of fits with the character. But at
Right.
the same time, it's like I can't tell if you're just not.
Especially since he doesn't think he's a replicant. So that's what makes it weird.
It's very strange.
All right, let's move on to 2049.
2049, the superior film.
Before we start, do you want to say anything to Dylan, who thinks the first one is better than the second?
Dylan, yeah, you can go fuck yourself because you're wrong.
He said he was disappointed by the music in the. He said
What's wrong with the music?
He said that they just rehashed stuff from the first one too often.
It's a fucking sequel. The fuck do you want? Okay, so Avengers Endgame, when it uses the fucking Avengers theme 15 goddamn times, you weren't pissed off by that? Fuck you, Dylan, you hypocrite. You're a little bitch.
And I think he said something else, but I don't remember. So
he's probably like, oh, Ryan Gosling has a dumb face. He does, but he's still Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling is one of my favorite parts.
He's so fucking good at this.
He's so good. I love it.
He's so good.
And he does a great job because at the very beginning I didn't know that he was a replicant or whatever. And I was like, and he's getting like beat up by Dave Bautista. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's a great scene. That whole opening is great.
I'm just like, he's taking it like a champ, man.
That whole opening is so like quiet and it's very just matter of fact. And when they are like punching each other through walls, there's no like big epic music, and there's not like 15,000 cuts. It's kind of just like, all right, he got slammed through a wall, cool.
Right.
And then like he just leaves and goes to his car, and he's like, all right.
I love though that Ryan Gosling's just sitting in his house.
Yeah, he's just chilling. And the Dave Bautista is like aware. He just turns. He's like, hey, you like beans or whatever?
Yeah, you want some beans.
You want some beans? And he's got those dumb glasses that don't quite fit his face because he's got a massive face.
His head is massive.
A massive man, too.
Dave Bautista was only in this for like 5 minutes.
He was great.
He was for his 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wish he was in it more.
What are some of your things you like about this compared to the first one?
I love everything about this, from the music, fuck you, Dylan, to the cinematography by Roger Deakins is phenomenal.
Almost every
It's
frame
stunning.
of this movie is gorgeous.
Every frame of this is a painting. You know that phrase, every frame a painting?
Yeah.
That applies to this movie. Every single goddamn, even if it's just like Ryan Gosling when he's at the like weird like microfiche machine, it's just like the way it's like framed. It's just like the Ryan Gosling's like right in the center, and then like the machine's like right here, and then Ana de Armas is like right here. Just like the lighting of it, like everything about
I
the
guarantee
cinematography is perfect.
I was gonna say the cinematographer on this was just sweating his ass off every day.
It was perfect. Roger Deakins has been in the industry for like 40 fucking years.
He was
knows
sweating.
his
He
shit.
was like, every frame of this is gonna be fantastic.
It's so fucking good, man. And I think that's the one that he won his Oscar for, which is
He should have.
justifiable because he's fantastic.
Fucking is amazing.
It's so good.
There's
So fucking good.
There's so many shots that you can just make your background.
I have
for
multiple
anything.
times because they're fucking phenomenal.
Especially the shot where he gets out of where he's in the orange dust or whatever.
Awesome.
It's the best shot of the whole
There's
movie.
just like bees everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so good. Ryan Gosling is fucking great in it. Ryan Gosling is great in everything. Ryan Gosling is an underrated
I
actor.
wish he was in more stuff.
He needs to because he's great. I like because at first if you watch like the trailers, it kind of seems like it's gonna do what all of those fucking sequels do that come out 30 years after the first, where it's the same fucking thing.
Like Star Wars.
Like Star Wars, where it's like, oh, it's the same thing, but now it's Harrison Ford's son, and he's gonna boop 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 boop,
Right.
and they have a really fun.
There's a weird little like
moment
maybe
in this where it's like, oh, they are doing that, but then they're like, no, fuck you, we're not doing that, and it was so cool that they didn't do that, and I love that. I love that they like they hooked you in, and then they cut the fucking string and was just like, you're on your own now. This is a
Right.
completely new thing, and it was like, holy fuck, that's awesome.
I was like, when I was watching the movie, because I didn't know about that, and I was sitting there, I was like, Wade liked this movie? Because I thought, like, that's where they were going. I was like, Wade hates these
Yeah,
things.
because you
in
know
these
how
movies.
much I hate that shit.
Right. And I was like, something else has to happen with this. I was like, there's no way this is how it goes. Unless something, like, it just
And when I
somehow
was
really
when I
good.
first saw it, that was really, I was like, really, like we're doing this again? God damn it! And then when it happens that like, oh, he's not his son, and like who the fuck, like, okay, who's his kid? And then it just completely, at that point, it completely is like it's his own thing, and it's like I don't know what the fuck is going on, and it's
Right.
great. That was when I was like, fuck, this is a fucking great movie.
This is kind of off topic, and it just reminded me of this because you said something was great. I don't understand the test for like if he's like insane or not, but I think it's like just great.
I think it's the same thing as the eye thing. It tests his mode because at the beginning he's very just like cells interlinked, cells, and then later on he's like cells interlinked. Fuck, I just fucking murdered somebody or whatever.
I don't know why, but I really
it's
like
just-
that.
It's so cool. It's so like sci-fi and like clean.
Ryan
and,
Gosling did it like perfectly. I'm sure
So
he
good.
did. I'm sure he practiced it like 5 times. or something.
cells interlinked. It's so good.
It is. It's fantastic.
It's so fun.
This movie is fantastic.
It's phenomenal. It's a masterpiece.
If I had to give like a rating out of these two, I would definitely give the second one a 10 out of 10. I don't know what I give the first one. Probably like an 8.
If I had to, I'd give the first one like a 7.
I was gonna say I'd give it like an 8.
And then I give the second one a 10 because it's great. The only real issue I have with it is the fact that they kind of brought in another Tyrell with Jared Leto.
But they didn't
I'm like,
do
we
anything
didn't-
with it.
But they didn't. But like we didn't need another.
Like he's just there to just
Character.
stab people. He stabs like 2 people.
He does. It's really strange and bizarre. And it's
It
just.
is.
I think Jared Leto was like,
I wanna be in
hey,
this
put me in
movie."
your movie and make me as weird as possible.
I have an idea.
And he was just like, all right, I'll make you blind.
And another thing, spoilers, they bring Rachel back for like a split second.
And it actually
CG
looked really
face
good.
looked amazing.
It looked fucking phenomenal. Because they do it well, because they don't have her talk. And when
Right.
she does talk, they cut away. They do it behind the scene shot.
Right.
So it's not... Because usually that's when it fucks up, because they can't get lips right. But it was really well done, and it was great. And I love that whole scene. The whole scene was emotional when Harrison Ford's like, she had green eyes. And it was, it was so cool.
Jared Leto just
So
fucking
fucking
shoots
cool.
her. Or whatever.
So cool.
Stabs or shoots her. I don't remember which one he does.
They should get shot.
Yeah. That's when Harrison Ford actually tries in these movies. He's in that one scene.
He's not in this movie a whole lot.
No. He's not.
He's fucking phenomenal in this movie. For the small amount he's in it, he's fucking great. And I don't know what the hell... Harrison Ford's such a weird human being. Because sometimes he cares and sometimes he doesn't. And like it's always these weird...
We'll
like,
see how
small...
Indy 5 is. And how he does
Yeah,
it.
it's always these like weird like artsy-fartsy projects where he's just like, alright, I'm going to actually try. And he's fucking great. Did you like his... like? I'm pretty sure you probably knew he was in the movie.
Yeah.
But did you like his...
He's in the trailer.
His like moment when he comes back and he's just like, I'm fucking Deckard.
I like how he's like just up and trying to murder him, even though Ryan Gosling, Gosling's like, I'm not gonna fight you. He just keeps fucking
Yeah, the whole
punching
time
him.
he's like, I'm not here to fight. And then Deckard, and that's something Deckard would do. He feels like Deckard the whole time. He doesn't
Right.
feel like a different character. He feels like, oh,
He's just sitting there just wailing
I'm
on
a
him.
drunk, dumb idiot. He's just gonna fight or flight.
Which that, when he found the horse, I was really confused. I was like, what the fuck?
That scene goes on like way too long almost, because it's literally just he finds his horse, he unwraps it, and then he just
It's a big moment. His dream was reality.
He just stares at it for like 5 minutes.
But his dream was reality.
It
Or whatever.
was.
Even though it wasn't his dream.
Yeah.
But like
But still, it was like that.
when that happened, I
was
was really confused. I was like, what the fuck? How's that? How?
Yeah, it's like, what?
He's a replicant. He shouldn't have even been a child at any point.
And there's some really cool effects in this movie, like the when his fake girlfriend like does the overlay
Oh
on
yeah.
the prostitute. Like that's really cool. And it's a very simple effect if you know how to do it. But I'm sure that was a bitch to like put together and like we got to sync this up properly. We have to like render it out. That must have like taken so long to do. But it's like this little small subtle thing.
Also kind of connected to Her a little bit. The movie Her. Because they kind of do that with that movie.
I guess
I don't know which one came out first.
Her came out first.
So yeah, they kind of
They
did that.
ripped off Her.
They did.
You're a fraud, didn't you? Ripped off.
I
Spike
do
Jonze.
find later on in that scene where there's like an advertisement for that chick, and she's just like he kind of just realizes like, fuck,
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's so cool because it's just like, oh, this was specifically designed to,
Right,
like,
to-
make it seem like it was.
I'm
complete
Joe,
minutes.
but I'm not Joe.
Yeah, it's just like this is all.
Especially
bullshit.
because like right before that scene, he tells Harrison Ford his name's Joe or whatever. He's like, I believe it.
It's so good. And I love dark sci-fi, like sci-fi that doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, and this one is kind of that, where it's kind of just like everything's kind of just shitty now.
Right. They knock him down many pegs,
They
even
do.
though he wasn't very high up anyways. They knock him down many pegs. His car is amazing.
His car's so
looking.
cool.
Right there, his car.
His car's so fucking cool.
I love it.
And I love how the inside is just like trashed. You just
Right.
got like McDonald's wrappers and shit everywhere, and I'm like that. Yeah, you would have that. 'Cause it's fine.
He gets obliterated though, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's trash. There's car people. There's trash people.
Yeah. It's like Mad Max's car, where it's like it's so fucking cool. Quit blowing it up.
Anything else you want to say about Blade Runner? One or
It's
two?
Fantastic. Both of them. I enjoyed.
Does
both
it need a third?
I think that the second one did a great job at establishing enough to where if we did get a third one, they have something really interesting to do. But I don't think we necessarily need one. I would love to see a third one because I think a third movie with Harrison Ford and his daughter like on the run while there's like this weird replicant uprising happening, that's a cool fucking idea.
It is.
And that's a cool kind of end to a trilogy of Blade Runner movies if you do
Will we
that.
get a third one? Probably
We're
not.
not. Because
Probably not.
people didn't even think we were going to get a second one because the first movie didn't do very well.
And the
And
second
then
one.
the second
didn't
one
do
came
well.
out and it didn't do very well. So I think this is kind of done. But if that's the case, that's fine because Blade Runner 2049 is a masterpiece, and I'm satisfied with just watching Blade Runner 2049 over and over again.
Time to die.